we also seem to be on the threshold of making the big leap into building of large conventional vessels. And the issue is basically how best we can really take advantage of the changed situation in terms of demand for additional shipping capacity. Last time it happened, anything like this happened was way back in 1977, when there was a until 77, because there were some spillover orders and so on, until 1973 oil crisis, and then the big tanker orders collapsed all of a sudden. And in 2003, we have the world record has overtaken the previous of 22.5 million CGT, I'm told, and that is a new record from 2003, and in 2004 it has gone up even further. In other words, the shipbuilding output in the world today is highest in the history of human race, and this may be going on for a while. It may taper off, it may come down, there are various factors, but and this may not happen again, this kind of boom may not happen again for quite some time. And China seems to be really taking advantage of this. Koreans have already moved in long ago and they have overtaken the Japanese. And as a shipping nation with a long tradition and a shipbuilding industry which is very closely related to freedom movement, and with Pandit Nehru launching Jalawusha soon after independence next year, I'm sure he never thought even for one moment when he launched Jalawusha that from about 20 years, 30, 40 years time, India would be known internationally more for shipbreaking than shipbuilding. Even in his worst dreams, he could never have imagined. But India became #1 shipbreaking country, as we know. And now the question is, how do we go forward? Is this a good time for us to really take advantage of this, as I said? And the key issue seems to be, after, as Ramesh mentioned, after we have gone through and met a number of people and who enlightened us on various aspects of the shipbuilding industry, including policy issues as well as practical issues as shipbuilding yard practices. What we understand the key issue is productivity, and the various traditional as well as modern views are surrounding it, and people we have among us, people have already gained very recent and current experience in terms of how the other yards are doing elsewhere and our own yards are doing, and there have been a tremendous change even in our own yards functioning as well as the composition of orders. More and more export orders are coming to our own yards, and it seems to be a very welcome sign, and government seems to be very keen to promote the industry, and a number of issues have been taken up. Now, with this background, I've been asked to take up the job of being the thankless job of being the moderator, and so I have to really see to it that we try to make an efficient use of time and productivity of this proceedings itself. So what I would suggest is, let us first start by learning from the past a little bit, and then move on to the present quickly and see how best we can think of the future. So with that thinking, and if somebody can intervene while somebody is speaking, that's no problem, and kindly raise your hand, and then you will be the next person. And always keep yourself very brief, and no need to give a lot of background story, because we are all of us quite aware of the industry basics. So my suggestion would be that we start with Commodore Mukherjee to learn a little bit from the past, and how come we ended up as a major shipbreaking nation instead of shipbuilding nation. I would like to, of course this is bothering me all the time, and what we can learn from the past to move forward, because if you want to jump ahead, you have to go backwards first, and then start running from there. So, Commodore Mukherjee, please.
Okay, you want me to confine to the Indian first?
Yes, sir. Okay. That is our interest, but also in relation to what's happening.
Okay, I will just touch it. Now, as you mentioned, the major shipyard, Pandit Nehru launched the ship, and Hindustan Shipyard, that time by Scindias, that was the major shipyard. Others were basically ship repairers as a captive yard, like Garden Reach Shipbuilders, and at that time it used to be known as Garden Reach Workshops. Mazgon Dock was a small unit again, maintaining their own shipping company's ships, plus building up to the level of tugs and some lighthouse tender vessels, etc. And these yards caught the eyes of the Defense Ministry, because concurrently with the post-independence stage, our debacle in China and then aggression of Pakistan, the Defense Ministry showed a lot of impetus in the development of Indian shipbuilding, in particularly warship building. So ship design centers were formed in naval headquarters, and today, as you know, over 400 naval architects are employed by the Indian Navy and designing all varieties of ships. So 4 major shipyards, that is Garden Shipbuilders, then 3 major I would call it, Masgon Dock and Goa Shipyard was developed. And willy-nilly, even Cochin Shipyard is also entered into this warship building because aircraft carrier has been ordered on them. Now, in the 70s, the planning from the Ministry of Surface Transport, that time the shipping ministry, they brought in Mitsubishi's collaboration to develop Cochin Shipyard. I was a young lieutenant, and before going to IIT Kharagpur as a professor, I had to review that with Mr. Parmanandan. All of you know his legendary figure in the field of shipbuilding. And we studied, and that was an eye-opening, that mechanical handling, workflow, etc., which we were taught in our classroom, but never reality, it was not there in existence in Indian shipyards. Anyway, Cochin Shipyard came up. They built the first of those ships. It took them 3 years, 4 years. People were very critical. Now, as it stands today, Cochin Shipyard is doing pretty well under the circumstances. It is a government-run company. Now, I said emphatically, in government-run company, Mr. Kumar is sitting there. He runs a private company. It was really ashamed to point out, as a consultant to Garden. I said, do you know your people are not even working 1 or 2 hours out of 8 hours in a day? Our quiet study, it revealed. Masgon Dock is no better, even worse. Now, I asked Commodore Jitendran, present chairman of Cochin Shipyard, what's your productivity? He says, sir, out of 10 hours, they give 2 hours incentive as a overtime, and he gets 5 hours actual work out of that. I was looking at your figures, that 15 vis-a-vis 300. My study, Cochin figure is about 180. Now, I have also visited different stages, as you are talking about now. I take my memory back to UK, then later development of European shipyard. I graduated in 1958, joined Indian Navy. My first tenure was 4 years studies in UK. I did my post-graduation in warship construction in Royal Naval College. At that time, I took the opportunity to visit practically all the shipyards in UK. Now, that time there are various discussions were emerging that how the British shipyards can compete with the new coming Northwest European shipyards, and particularly reconstruction of Germany, West Germany at that time. All those old shipyards which were destroyed, they came up with the modern shipyard. So in one of my points, which is foremost, is the layout of the shipyard in order to have a good productivity. And this is what we came to watch it. The British shipyards, which were traditionally building, those ships from the late 19th century to the 20th century, even they might have built ships like Queen's, etc. But the shipyards were all those traditional shipyards. Even educated people, the managerial point, the graduates were not there. They were foremen and all that. They were all having the higher national certificate, HNC they call it, higher national certificate, etc. But whereas the Europeans were already employing the graduate engineers, management specialists, work study, and the work, particularly the value analysis, etc., came into very much in the vogue in European shipyard. So British shipyards saw its natural death. Europe came up, and of course, subsequently, Japanese caught up. And when I was a student in UK in 1958 to 62, I used to see a lot of Japanese visitors to UK, always clicking their camera. And that is the time they were snooping around and took the best of the technology from Europe to Japan. And as you know, the growth of Japan in the 60s, they really overtook everybody. And we didn't realize that yes, some other giant like Korea also coming up. The development of Korea